So in this question, we have molecules of an ideal gas and which have 3 translation degrees of freedom and 2 rotational degrees of freedom. And the gas is maintained at a temperature T, and we are supposed to find the total internal energy for this gas for 1 mole, and the value of Cp upon Cv, that is nothing but gamma. Cp is the specific heat capacity at constant pressure, and Cv is the specific heat capacity at constant volume. So this is a very easy question, so which we can directly solve with the applying the formula. So we know that total internal energy is given by F by 2 into nRT. Over here we're doing it for a mole of a gas, so instead of n I can write 1, and total degrees of freedom over here are nothing but 3 translation degrees of freedom and 2 rotational degrees of freedom. So the value of F will be equal to 5, that is 3 plus 2 upon 2 RT, as the number of moles are 1. So our total internal energy will be 5 by 2 RT. So we can eliminate the option 1 and 3 out of it because they have just 5 RT, and our answer is 5 by 2 RT. So it can either be second option or fourth option. Now for gamma, if you can recollect, we again have a very shortcut formula for it. Gamma in this case can be directly written as 1 plus 2 upon F, sorry, not 1 upon F, 2 upon F, where F is nothing but the degree of freedom. Now if I put the values over there, 1 plus 2 upon F over here is nothing but 5, that is 3 plus 2. And if you solve this, this value will be equal to 7 upon 5. So gamma should be equal to 7 upon 5 and U should be equal to 5 by 2 RT. And if we try to match it, fourth should be our answer. So in this question, we have a gas of diatomic molecules and it's contained in a cylinder of volume V1 at pressure P1 and temperature is 250 Kelvin, nothing abnormal over here. And assuming that 25% of the molecules get dissociated, causing a change in number of moles. And the pressure of the resulting gas at temperature 2000 Kelvin when contained in a volume 2V1 is given as P2, and we are supposed to find the ratio of P2 and P1. So I can depict the situation over here. So let's say this is our container 1, okay, of volume V1, pressure P1, and let's call the temperature T1 as 250 Kelvin, and let's say the total number of mole inside this, total number of molecules in moles is nothing but N in container 1. Now in condition 2, what is happening is 25% of these number of moles are getting dissociated, and it's a diatomic gas. So those dissociated molecules will convert them into what? Twice the number of moles. Getting it? So I'll just write it down over here. So first I'll draw the second situation. The volume is double the volume of the initial one. So let's say this is the volume 2V1. Over here the pressure is P2 and temperature they've given us is what? 2000 Kelvin. So let's call T2 as 2000 Kelvin. Now let's just focus on number of moles again. So out of this, 25% of molecules are getting dissociated. So 3/4 of it will remain intact as diatomic gas only. And the 1/4 of moles, 1/4 number of moles of the molecules are converting into what? Are getting dissociated. So we are supposed to multiply this thing with 2 because diatomic gas will become what? Monoatomic. So the number of moles will get doubled over there. So this will become what? N upon 2. Now over here, if you calculate the total number of moles, I can take of course 4 as the LCM. This is 3N. This will become 2N. So total number of moles in container 2 will be equal to what? 5N upon 4. If you're clear with this part, then it is pretty neat. So what we can do in the first part is we can apply the very standard condition. P1 V1 is equal to nRT. So N is N, R is R, and T is 250 Kelvin. I can call this equation as equation K. And in the second case, again the same formula. We have P2 and V2 is nothing but equal to what? Twice of V1. So I'll write twice of V1, and total number of moles because of dissociation is coming as equal to 5N upon 4. So N, R is R, and temperature is what? 2000 Kelvin. Now you know actually what to do. And we are supposed to find P2 upon P1. So what we can do is that we can do what? K divided by K, right? So what we'll get over there is, of course, this V and this V will get cancelled. I'll just write it down, okay? So P2 into twice of V1 upon P1 into V1, no problem over here. I have 5NR 2000 upon 4, and this will come as equal to N into R into 250. So I'll do the cutting now. So this V1 and V1 can get cancelled, N and N get cancelled, R and R get cancelled. 250 into 4 is 1000. We have 2000, so this will number will become 8. Now do the multiplication. 8 into 5 is what? 40. 40 upon 4 is 10, and this 2 will come this side. So it will become 10 upon 2. So that is nothing but equal to 5. High five. This is our answer. So in this particular question, we are supposed to find, according to Bohr's model, which all options are correct. So first one, they have asked us, they have given us for kinetic energy. So what I'll do is that I'll just write the expression over here just to make it easier. So what I can do is, okay, so kinetic energy, we know that the simple formula is given as what? E raised to the power 4 k square 2 pi square, right, m upon h square, and there is another terms over here, that is z square upon n square. Now all of these terms are basically constant over here. So E is nothing but the charge on electron, k is nothing but 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0, m is the mass, and h is nothing but the Planck's constant. So all these quantities over here are constant. So I can say that kinetic energy is proportional to, kinetic energy is proportional to z square upon n square, and this is what they have given us. So I can for sure say that option A is absolutely correct, right? So option A is correct. Now let's move to option B. In B, they have asked us that the multiplication of velocity and the principal quantum number as proportional to z square. So what I'll do is that I'll write the expression for velocity. So velocity in Bohr model can be written as 2 pi k E square upon n into h, and in this numerator z also comes. Now if you transfer this n is nothing but the Planck's constant, h is n is nothing but the principal quantum number, h is the Planck's constant, k is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. So I can transfer this n over there. So what we'll get is v into n is proportional to z, because rest of the things are constant over here. So v into n is proportional to z. It is not proportional to z square. So that's why option B is not correct. Now I'll move to option C. What they've mentioned is frequency of revolution of electron in an orbit is proportional to z cube upon n cube. So I'll write the expression for frequency directly. Frequency is given by, we have minus 2 pi square mk square e to the power 4 upon h cube into z square upon n square. Now if you look over here, again the rest of the quantities are over here, are nothing but constant over here. 2 pi mass, k is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0, charge on electron, and this is h, that is Planck's constant. So I can say that frequency is proportional to z square upon n square, not z cube upon n cube. So therefore this option can also be eliminated. So far we have seen that option A is correct. Now let's finally look at option D. They are saying that Coulomb force of attraction is proportional to z cube upon n to the power 4. So let's find out. So Coulombic force in simplest form can be written as k into E square into z upon r square. So this is nothing but the Coulombic force, again where k is the 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0, z is the atomic number, E square upon r square. Now over here they have asked us it is directly proportional to z cube upon n to the power 4. So what we can do over here is that, just to check it further, we can put the value of r over here, and r is given by the expression h square into n square upon 4 pi square m k, where k is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0, E square into z. So first I'm supposed to square this quantity and then put it in the denominator. So what I can do is that these quantities are nothing but constant again. All these quantity which I'm putting in this circle or whatever that thing is. So all these quantity are constant. Now if you do the square over here, just bother about n and z. So r square is basically proportional to n to the power 4 upon z square. And this value I'm supposed to put in denominator. So if I put this thing in denominator, I'll get n to the power 4 in denominator, and this z square will go in numerator. And in numerator already one z is there. So z and z square will become z cube. So I can get f is proportional to z cube upon n raised to the power 4. Because k and e are again constant over here. So I can say that F is proportional to Z cube upon n raised to the power 4. So therefore even D is the correct option. Now if you look in the options given below over here, so C is not correct. Only A is not correct. A is correct, but not only A is correct. D is also correct. So A, C, D, in which C is not correct. So fourth one should be our answer. So in this particular question, they have given us a figure which contain 4 identical resistors. I'll open this figure over here. Okay. So in this we have 4 identical resistance over here. So let's say this is one resistance, this is second, this is third, and of course this is the fourth one. And the value of resistance is 2 ohm over here, and we have 2 identical inductors also. As you can see, this is one inductor and this is another inductor, and the value of inductor is 2 millihenry, and we have an ideal battery with the EMF of 9 volt, and we are supposed to find that current I just after switch S is closed. So what will be the value of current? Now one interesting thing will happen over here. As soon as you close the circuit, the current will flow in all the part of the circuit, right? Now, but as soon as the current enters into the inductor, it is nothing but a coil. So magnetic field will set up in the coil, and this magnetic field in turn will produce a current which will be in opposite direction. So this part of the circuit will act as an open circuit, and same thing will happen in the this part also. I'll just use some different color over here. If I can choose, okay, let's call it yellow. So this part of the circuit and this part of the circuit will act as what? A open circuit. So we can ignore this much part of the entire circuit. We can ignore this much part of the circuit. Now in another case which is not given in this question, and suppose let's say the current is constant. So we know that voltage across inductor is given by V is equal to minus L into di by dt. So if I is constant, this entire thing will become 0, and the net voltage will become what? 0, and in that case this will act like a short circuit. But this is not given in this particular question. If it is, okay. So anyways, so we can ignore what this much part of the circuit. So we just have to deal with what? This much part. And this is quite easy to do. We just have like 2 resistance left over here. We know that net voltage is given by what? V is equal to I into R. So I can be written as what? Net voltage upon net resistance, R net. So R net in this case is nothing but R plus R, that is twice of R, and R they have given us as what? The 2 ohm. So I can write the net voltage as 9 volt, and 2 into 2 is nothing but 4. So this will become what? 2.25. So if you check in all the options, fourth one should be our answer. Okay, in this question we have a temperature difference of 120 degrees Celsius which is maintained between 2 ends of a uniform rod AB, and the entire length of that rod AB is 2L. So I'll just open this figure now. So this entire length they've given us as what? 2L. So I can infer that QB will be equal to what? 2L minus of L and minus of L by 2. So that is nothing but also equal to L by 2. And let's name this point as S and this point as T. So I can write if SP is L by 4, so by symmetry it is also looking as equal to L by 4 only. And by the same logic, ST should be equal to L. And another bent rod PQ. So this is the bent part PQ. Okay. And its entire length is 3L by 2. So again, actually you can like reconfirm it. If the entire length is 3L by 2, so you can subtract L by 4 and L by 4, and again ST will come as equal to L only. And it is connected across AB, no problem over there. In steady state, temperature difference between point P and Q will be close to. So you're supposed to find the temperature difference between point P and Q. Now, as the temperature difference leads to the heat flow, similarly, voltage difference leads to the flow of current. So these two things are very similar. And one more thing over here, we know that resistance is directly proportional to length. So R is basically equal to what? Rho into L by A. Area of cross section is same everywhere. Rho is same because it is all made up of same material. So you can say that R is proportional to L. So instead of writing, you know, L by 4, L by 2 are the different data, let's convert everything in terms of resistance. So I can write this term as R by 2, this is R, again this is R by 2, R by 4. SP is what? R by 4, ST is R, and yes, we are sorted now. Now what I'll do is that first I'll find the total resistance over here. So what I can do is that first I'll find the resistance of PSTQ. So this thing is in series. PS, ST and TQ are in series, as no current is getting divided in this particular arm in PSTQ. So I can write that total resistance as R by 4 plus R by 4 plus R. So that is nothing but equal to what? 4 and this R by 2. R by 2 plus R is nothing but 3R by 2. And this 3R by 2 resistance is in parallel with the resistance R. So net resistance between P and Q, I can write this thing as what? 1 upon 3R by 2 plus 1 upon R. So if you solve this, it will come nearly equal to 2 upon 3R plus 1 upon R. You can take 3R as LCM, and this will become equal to 5R by 3, and we are supposed to do the reciprocal of it because it is 1 upon R. So this net will be equal to what? 3R upon 5. It is the resistance between what? P and Q. Net resistance between P and Q. Now the resistance between AP and QP and PQ. So I can again add this thing in series. So net resistance between AB, I can write as what? R by 2 plus R by 2, that is nothing but R only, plus 3R by 5. So I can take again what? 5 as the LCM. This become 5, this become 8R upon 5. So that is the net resistance between A and B. Now what I can do over here is, as the temperature difference leads to the flow of heat energy, similarly voltage difference leads to the flow of current. So I can write VB minus VA upon resistance between B and A. So this is basically what? Voltage difference upon resistance. It is equivalent to current. And as this part is in series right now, because I've converted and simplified the entire thing, so the resistance, so the current between A and B will be equal to the current between P and Q after the simplification. So I can write this thing as VQ minus VP upon the resistance between VQ and VP, and which is nothing but equal to what? 3R upon 5. So first I'll write simply what? Resistance between P and Q. So it is after the simplification. So this voltage difference can be replaced with temperature difference. Why? Because voltage upon R leads to the flow of current. Similarly, temperature difference will leads to the flow of heat energy. So I can write VB minus VA as equal to what? 120 degrees Celsius, because that is given in the question. And RAB is nothing but what? 8R upon 5. So that 5 will go in numerator. Is equal to VQ minus VP is nothing but the temperature difference, that is TQ minus TP upon RPQ, and RPQ net resistance is 3R upon 5. So again that 5 will go in numerator. So I can cancel this 5 with this one, and I can simply write TQ minus TP. Again I can cancel this R and this R. This 3 will go in numerator. So what we'll get over is what? 120 into 3 upon 8. So 8 into 15 is 120, and 15 into 3 is what? 45. So TQ minus TP will be equal to what? 45 degree Celsius. Now if we compare this answer with the remaining options, you'll come to know that first should be our answer.